Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the second and final two webinars on the 2020 New American Remodel. My name is James McClister. I'm the managing editor of Pro Remodeler magazine. We are the media sponsor of the New American Remodel. And over the next 45 minutes, I, along with three other guests, will be discussing the building innovations of this year's home, from its HVAC system to its wall assembly to the various iterations of home automation and smart technology featured throughout. So first, I'll start by introducing our guests. First, we have Josh Anderson. Josh is the owner of Element Building Company. That's a remodeler and custom builder operating in both the Southern Nevada and Boise, Idaho markets. His inspiration for Element was struck for Anderson while he was working in the Las Vegas boom economy. Seeing production builders pump out home after home, he thought that there had to be more, and he wanted to create something unique, a homeowner experience that sort of surpassed expectations. And so he has for years now. Apart from leading this year's New American Remodel, Anderson was also the builder of the 2014 and 2016 New American homes. Next, we have Josh Moser, lead designer at Element Building Company, and obviously a colleague of Josh Anderson. He is also an industry veteran with more than a decade of experience. He holds a master's degree in architecture from the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. Lastly, we have Phil Keene, who was named 2018 Best Custom Home Builder in the United States by Home Builder Digest. He's an internationally recognized architect, contractor, interior designer, and certified green professional. His company, Phil Keene Design Group, is located in Winter Park, Florida, and is known for creating innovative, one-of-a-kind luxury residences with extraordinary attention to design detail, sustainability, and seamless transition of indoor and outdoor spaces, which we talked about on our last webinar. PKDG offers award-winning architecture and interior design services worldwide and construction services in the Central Florida area. Phil was architect, builder, and interior designer of the New American Homes 2012 and 2017, and has been selected to design and build the New American Home 2021 in Winter Park, so look out for that. The first thing we want to talk about today is innovation, sustainability, and efficiency. These are the elements that sort of define modern construction processes and materials in a lot of ways. You can see it a lot in green building and remodeling in particular, which is coming closer and closer to just being building and remodeling because of how often it's being requested. 2018 is the latest World Green Building Trends report available, produced by Dodge Data Analytics in partnership with both the World and U.S. Green Building Councils. Researchers interviewed over 2,000 architects, contractors, owners, and other industry representatives, and what they found was that in the U.S., green building, and particularly for remodelers, is big, and more than that, it's actually still growing. A quarter of the projects, of the green projects, were the majority of the revenue in 2018 for a lot of respondents. Here, let me go back to that slide previously. You can see. And by 2021, the way they project that to happen is that nearly half of those same respondents expect that to be the case. To state that a little bit more clearly, it just means that green projects are a much bigger share of the revenue for companies that are doing green projects. The increase isn't totally surprising, considered the reported ROI on those same projects, including retrofits, which in 2018 increased asset value by an average of 5%. So let's say we're in Chicago, where the median home price is about $242,000, about $20,000 more than the national median. A green retrofit might increase that value upwards of about $12,000. And in fact, it's green retrofits and projects on existing buildings that is the top sector for green building in North America. And I talk about green and sustainable building not only because companies are doing it, but because what's driving this trend is homeowners, both in the U.S. and in Canada. Client demand in this study was the top trigger for green building. So it's something that it's not only good for the environment, it's something that people actually want. So you're not just doing it for the sake of making a statement. Now, I bring this up because a lot of companies are working this innovation, sustainability, efficiency into their businesses. And I wanted to talk to you three, Josh Anderson, Josh Moser, and Phil Keene, about how you're working it into your businesses prior or before we get into the specifics of the new American remodel. So if Josh Anderson, if you want to kick us off, tell us a little bit about how Element works these fundamental into your business.
I think for us, this is something that we decided at this point years ago that it was who we are. And so for us, this is kind of one of the core tenets of who we are as a design build and as a contractor, that really we want to be building and working on projects where we're creating the very best product that we can. And for us, that's, before it became as mainstream as it's becoming, high performance and designing, high efficiency was a core value of ours. And so that's just part of what we do. Every project that we do, we, design to meet an NGBS Emerald standard or a LEED standard. And that's just incorporated into who we are. We don't do anything other than that. And so for us, it's just become a way of doing business.
Is it something that when you put it in, maybe it wasn't because clients were demanding it? Are you seeing clients ask for it a little bit more than they used to, or has it always been kind of the same?
It's certainly something that is not. The clients are definitely more aware of it than than they were, say, 5 years ago. We totally geek out over building science and how efficient our envelopes can get. And just internally among our team, whenever we, test a home, we share that with everyone. And it's one of those things that we're, very focused on and very proud of, that we, can put together the tightest envelope. I mean, that's really what we're trying to achieve on the construction side. And so, it's one of those ones where it's just become part of our culture. We, love doing that, love geeking out over it. And on our client, as far as the clients go, the other thing that we've started to do there, for the clients who don't come into it thinking that way or specifically asking for it, we've had a couple of times now where we do it, we certify the house, don't tell the client, and then just present it at the end, and they love that. I mean, they've gone wild over that, because for me it's important. It's a third-party verification of, we claim to build the best home, we claim to, have the tightest envelope. For me, an important part of that is having third-party backup that backs that up. It's not just something that we say, it's something that we're showing and proving in what we do every day.
And for you, Phil, is this something that you are also working into your business, something that clients ask for?
Yes, clients ask for it, but we have been doing it since the recession. We did our first LEED certified house in, I believe it was 2007 or 2008. And in 2012, we built a house that was rated the greenest house in the state of Florida. So we've been doing it, and every home we've built, or we recommend when we design it to use green practices. But we've certified our homes consistently since that moment in time. It's not just green; it's smart and healthy. So it's something that people really, really like.
Does it feel like green building is becoming almost a standard of building?
I think so.
Or more sustainable, I should say.
Well, I think, in the beginning it was hard to find recycled products or products that didn't off-gas. It was all sort of a specialty thing. But now it's sort of standard. You can get no formaldehyde products. You can get furniture that doesn't off gas. So it's not just building products. It's what you put in the homes that make them really green. So it's a whole. It's part of our lifestyles today.
Yeah, and I would. This is Josh.
I imagine.
Oh, sorry. I would totally
No, actually,
agree
I was
with,
going to ask you. I felt like that was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just responsible design. So, you know, definitely thinking the industry heading that direction, if not already, is the way to go. And as far as the clients are concerned, those that don't initially request to have it be certified or have it be at some sort of green standard, once you explain what that entails and actually educate the client to know what that means, like, you know, why wouldn't you want your building envelope to perform better? Why wouldn't you want to, you know, make these smarter decisions that in the long run are not only better for the environment, but also better for their living. So yeah, definitely would agree with Phil on industry moving that direction.
And one quick question for you, Josh Moser, before we move on to the building envelope, funny enough. Are those difficult conversations to have with someone who may not be inclined to more sustainable building techniques right off the front? Is that something difficult to broach? I mean, obviously it's in your mission, so.
Yeah, I haven't come across a client that's been, you know, headstrong on not doing it. I haven't had any difficulty explaining to a client and helping them get on board with the idea of it, because, like I said, I mean, the initial cost and implications of some of these things may be hard to swallow initially, but overall, you know, it's kind of easy to get on board because of how not only cool and effective a lot of these things are, but you know, like I said, just responsible, smart design is something that people can get on board with.
And so, Josh Anderson, as you were discussing your penchant and sort of love of building envelopes and building science, I'm going to give you a great chance to nerd out a little bit here, because let's talk about the building envelope of the new American Remodel. And I kind of want to go through the wall assembly just right from the frame all the way out. So if first you want to talk about the assembly, how it started and what composed the entire wall.
Yeah, so what we started out with, the plan we started out with on this particular project was the existing exterior perimeter walls. We were going to, they were 2x4 exterior walls, which typically everything we're doing on the new construction side is a 2x6. But in this instance, we were going to have a 2x4 wall. We were going to do 2 inches of rigid foam on the exterior, and then spray foam, open cell spray foam for the interior insulation. In the end, we had termites. We had opened and tested opened some walls in our due diligence period. No termites, of course, in the 3 walls in the 3 locations on different walls that we opened. And in the end, you know, carefully dissected the house to find that 3 of the 4 perimeter walls had extensive termite damage. So in the end, we ended up tearing those down and constructing with a 2x6. So what's actually built is a 2x6 wood frame exterior wall. We have 2 inches of rigid foam, and then open cell spray foam. And so the combination of those products for us in the desert, you know, and part of learning, you know, what performs has a lot to do with your individual climate and where you're building around the country. But for us in the desert, the exterior rigid foam has a huge impact. It prevents thermal bridging. So if you were to take thermal imaging of a wall that did not have rigid foam on the exterior, you're going to see heat transfer occurring at every one of your vertical frame members. And when you take a thermal image of that exact same wall, but with a rigid foam on the exterior, it prevents the thermal bridging, and so you don't have the heat gain that you get going through the frame members. And so for us, that's become I'd say probably our standard wall assembly, for the most part, or our default. And so, yeah, we end up with a great insulation value. The spray foam does a great job in terms of sealing off any of our air penetrations. And, we'll do some form of steel plate seal, and then, the rigid foam on the exterior, spray foam on the interior. And I actually can't remember offhand what our air exchange on this home was, but on our homes, we're consistently below 1.6, 1.5 on our air exchanges, and typically that's on homes that are 10,000 square feet and larger, which is phenomenal if you've tested any homes and have done that. So for us, this is a very, very effective system in terms of building envelope.
So the air changes per hour for this year's house, I believe the final test was about 1.54, which obviously is very impressive. Last year's was 2.5, which even 2.5 isn't a bad number. It was an impressively efficient house last year. And we spoke with Drew Smith, who a lot of our listeners will probably know from Two Trails. He's also done a lot of efficiency consulting on all the houses. I had a conversation with him, and he was discussing that even a decade ago, houses were getting in the 4s and the 5s. So it's pretty impressive to see what you guys are able to accomplish. And he also mentioned the aero barrier was a big help in terms of getting that in. So you sort of reiterated what you were saying, Josh. The next thing I want to talk about in the home, where you're able to sort of gain a lot of efficiency, is in the HVAC system. Josh Anderson, if you want to walk us through, it was kind of a complicated system that this year's house used. Why don't you walk us through it, starting with the heat pumps and exchangers, or the air handler, excuse me.
So this year's home, we used LG mini splits. So we have ducted mini splits throughout the house. We have a couple. We were trying to showcase all of their products. So we have one of the rooms. It's a wall hung unit that looks like a piece of art. We have ducted mini splits, and then just some mini splits. For us, we love this system because it's incredibly efficient in that you are only heating or cooling the spaces that you're using, and you have the flexibility to really, truly set the comfort level in each space within your home. So they're extremely efficient in and of themselves, but then on top of that, the added efficiency of individual space control means that you're not, heating and cooling the spaces that you're not spending time. And then the heat pumps, because of our solar array, that we're generating enough power to offset, basically the consumption of the whole home. And so from that standpoint, heat pumps are good as well. And we're in the desert, so we don't have the, frigid cold temperatures that some parts of the country have. So,
were there any challenges in installing this HVAC system?
Yeah. So as anyone can attest to, who has done modern architecture, modern construction, the challenge is always getting all of your rough-in into the lid cavities that are typically reduced in this style of architecture, and so this was no different. We had some challenges in the secondary bedrooms. The cassette and return airs are rather large, and getting those into the lid took a little creativity on all of the team's part, but it turned out beautifully, and we're thrilled because of the efficiency of the system and what that does for us in terms of our performance and comfort of the home.
Question for Josh Moser. Obviously, in this home, you had LG's sort of decorated mini split system that serves as basically a piece of art while also working as a mini split. But not all mini splits have such a nice little design component to them. Mostly they're functional. What are some of the challenges in terms of fitting those into a room, and how do you usually, because I'm assuming you install mini splits on other homes or other projects that you work on, how do you usually work mini splits into a room without them looking, or maybe you want them to look too obvious?
Well, generally trying to make them not as visible as possible is usually the goal, but it was nice to be able to have exposure to LG's new system that is definitely more aesthetically pleasing, and being able to have the flexibility of being able to put whatever kind of portrait or picture you would like in that system. I love the flexibility of it. I learned shortly after we had installed it that it is possible, because the system does kind of protrude out of the wall quite a bit, because it is an HVAC system, so it is possible to actually semi-recess this system, kind of like how you do a recessed TV. You can actually build out a recess for this to sit in more into the wall, as long as it has, kind of, I think they said a 6-inch clearance, around it. So, but that was my only holdup with the system. Otherwise, it is a great solution for this kind of application.
Excellent. Moving on to another part of the home that obviously has a lot to boast about is the energy portion. Now, it's my understanding that the house generally has a pretty normal energy setup, apart from something that Josh Anderson mentioned earlier, which is the solar array that sits on the top of the roof. Josh Anderson, you want to tell us a little bit about that array and sort of the efficiency it brings and what the challenges of installing it are and working around it?
As far as the efficiency goes, it's an efficient system. The thing I love most about it is it's backed up by LG. So a lot of your solar manufacturers and panels, and this is particularly true, going back again a few years ago, they're, for the most part, companies that you don't necessarily have a market presence, that your clients know who the company is and what it is. And so from that standpoint, LG's got great brand recognition. They're a global company. And for me, I'm always looking and thinking about those kind of things, because I want to be dealing with people that are going to be there and be there for our clients the way that we want to be there and be there for our clients, after they're living in the home. And so that was one of the big draws. As far as challenges working with the product or any difficulties, there wasn't any. We've typically in the homes that we build, everything that we've done, I'd say in the last 8 years, at a minimum, we've planned for solar. Even if the client wasn't doing it right, in the construction process, everybody's anticipating doing it at some time. And so it's very much just become part of what we do. And the LG panels are great to work with. They work really well. And again, they're, backed up by LG. So we're big fans of LG Solar.
And I was made aware that the HERS score, the solar array helped a lot in bringing down the home's HERS score. It's my understanding that without the array, I think the HERS score would have been something around 47, and then with it, brought it all the way down to -17. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I believe those are the numbers. And the HERS rating without solar, if you look at the amount of glazing in the home, it's a very very well built home. And then of course solar is always the thing that kind of puts us over the top as far as the efficiency and HERS ratings are concerned. So in this instance, we're we're putting power on the grid.
It's my understanding that so for net zero and having a solar array, for all of that to sort of be affordable, it needs to be cost effective, which ends up factoring into the sort of size of the panels because you want the smallest, most efficient that you can without spending too much money. For determining the size of these panels, is that a calculation that you make, or how is that made before these are purchased?
We do that, or on this particular home, we do that in conjunction with our with Two Trails, with Drew Smith. He's our energy consultant on this home and actually our energy consultant on most of our homes. The team's fantastic to work with. So for those who are thinking about it or looking at it and don't really know how to get into it or are wondering, that's what I would recommend. Start with Two Trails, and they will show you the way. And once you've gone through it a couple of times, it just it just kind of becomes part of what you do. So those calculations are based off of the load calcs, which are the electrical demand of the house, based on your actual system and systems within the home and the power that you're going to consume, and then your system is designed and sized appropriately based upon that.
The final leg of our webinar is going to be focused more on the innovation side rather than sustainability, and it's home automation and smart tech, which this year's home is completely rife with. A lot of the products are controlled via a central app made by Savant, who installed a lot of the speakers and stuff like that throughout the house. But there's also a lot of other technologies, toilets, mirrors, thermostats that are throughout the house that demonstrate this new trend, new meaning the last few years, of home automation and smart technology. Josh Moser, maybe you're the best person to speak about this at first. I want to know just a little bit, what's the sense from you about how important home automation is becoming, whether it's a fad for clients of the time that may become standard, or whether it's already become standardized?
It's definitely catching fire, if not already. Most clients I would say all clients want automated systems in their homes. I think just everything is going that direction. Every company, industry is trying to think of ways and make it easier for people to access everything in their home via their phone or some form of automation. So definitely, I would say yes, that is the standard now, and definitely having that in mind through the design process. There's definitely ramifications and design implications that need to be accounted for when doing these automated systems. So.
And does anyone else have anything that they've experienced with clients about home automation, about smart technology that they would like to speak to in terms of how important it is, how you're working it into your business?
I can speak to Savant specifically. In terms of our client base, to me, it very much is the standard and kind of the expectation to automate in one form or another. And as Josh alluded to, it's everybody in our industry is working on that, down to the light bulb manufacturers. So, but Savant in particular, for us on this home and generally with clients when we can, we are big fans of Savant because of how user friendly it is. So a lot of your, what I would call professional grade automation systems still require a programmer to come out and program, scenes for your home. In other words, if you want to have, if you're having a party and you want to have the lights turned on, the lights turn on at 50%, the fire feature on, your Pandora streaming, and these different rooms at this level, that's the type of thing that normally you'd have to have some right program to be able to achieve that. Savant's system is set up such that as the homeowner, you can set all those things and create your own scene without having to call somebody, without having to have somebody come out to your home and write program, which for us is huge. I mean, as automation has become more mainstream, user control is huge, and so that, and then it's the Pro Host is a Mac-based system that just works. That's as the other side of everything we do is that we have to be finding products that are just reliable and create the customer experience that we're trying to create. And for us, Savant very much is one of those things. So it has the ability to control everything. The home, we have lighting control, distributed audio, video control, HVAC, our pool equipment. What am I missing? Security system, cameras, our any Apple TVs or gaming systems that you have connected. Those are all controlled through Savant.
As these technologies and the sort of expectation of them become more mainstream, is this something, I mean, a lot of these are, you put a screen on a wall, or you have a TV that hooks up to it, or a really nice oven. But some of them, like the Phantom screens, for instance, are built into the home. And so how much is smart technology and home automation, or rather just technology in general now, starting to dictate how certain parts of the home are remodeled? Are you having to consider more technology as you're building about how it will operate in that space?
So that's actually one of the reasons why we have done Savant, is that they also have a great old work solution or remodel solution. So for lighting control is probably the most common thing that people, that's what everyone kind of starts with, automation. And Savant has a lighting control solution that runs off of your wireless network. And so for that system, you literally just replace an existing switch with a smart switch, and then it's controlled the same as if you had a hardwired solution. So for us, and then the other thing that does is it gives you, the other thing about Savant is the platform across all devices is the same. So we have clients to have multiple homes in different locations, and that system also allows them to very easily multiple locations, switch between homes, and the user interface is seamless and consistent.
And Phil, just general on the discussion, did you have anything that you wanted to add in terms of trends or how smart technology and home automation is affecting your business or how you design homes?
Well, I was thinking about that as Josh was speaking, that, with things like motorized screens, which really are they've been around for a while, but you have to, as an architect, you have to design that into what's the practical size, how long are the screen panels before you have a seam. I mean, there's aesthetic and architectural details that start to crop into, either because of budget reasons or homeowners' taste or desires. So I think all this technology is really exciting, and as it changes, how we design and how we work with the technology changes. So yeah, it's an ongoing journey.
Excellent. Well, that wraps it up for today's webinar and the final of our two on the new American Remodel. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask me or our guests, please feel free to email in, and we will get those answered to you offline through email or a phone call or however it ends up working out. On the screen right now, you'll see some resources, just a link to Elements, Phil Keen's company, and also just a 3D virtual tour of the house. If you'd like to check out some of those systems a little bit more up close and personal, they do have details on everything in the house through the virtual tour, so it's a great little resource to have. Otherwise, thank you all very much for your time. I know we are in weird times with COVID-19 sort of forcing everyone indoors. So I hope you guys are staying safe and sane and 6 feet apart from one another. Thank you very much.